So let's say I've done all this sequence and I saw this happen to a few of the groups. I was like, oh, like I'm gonna bring this up before we spar now. So I'm doing all my steps, I'm doing all this, but because of how much Ian was starting in like this, especially with crossed hands potentially, sometimes his hand gets stuck in my elbow ditch and it's hard to clear it out. So I've done this, maybe I've sort of accidentally already trapped his hand in here, and so I get this up and I get my head to the correct side, but his arm is stuck in me. And my ability to actually finish the choke from here is very hard. If his arm is stuck in there and he's decided that he likes it there and wants to keep it there. Really hard to finish the choke. But now I basically am most of the way to my gift wrap. And so I can just use that to move into a gift wrap and take his back off of that. So his fingers are in there with some effect, right? I'm like, man, this sucks. But I should be able to drive a shoulder up and transition to my gift wrap from here. I usually keep my foot by its hip crease while I transition into the full-on Kimura situation. I roll over and I already have my foot up to that top hip right where I want to be from there. So we've done some back takes in class not too long ago, so hopefully that's all pretty fresh. I think because I saw this in the drills, and when you spar, it happens sometimes where the hands are stuck there either just by accident or he does it on purpose. Hard to finish the choke if he's like, well, my hands are stopping the choke, so I'm just going to leave it there. I think going to this back take is a good option from there. So let's look one more time. So I get most of this way into the choke, but his hands are like kind of stuck there. I'm like, man, I don't really want to muscle through this. He seems happy enough to keep it in there. So I should be able to reach under and get this wrist grip before I move a whole lot, because it's going to help me rotate his body. So I'm going to use my chest on his tricep just like I did earlier. I'm trying to roll him over and get at least a little bit of initial back experience. Get him out to like a side for a triple threat type position. Then I can snake this through. I like having that full-on Kimura grip from there. I'm leaning this foot down by his hip because, like we talked about before, I really like having my head on the bottom and my feet to that top hip, and I can either get my hooks or I can already start attacking that and going for the choke trip. So, I don't think I would ever do this sequence on purpose if I thought that the first choke was there, but sometimes that hand just gets stuck in there and we need to be able to do something about it. So this is a nice sequence. In a points tournament, at the very least you get 4 more points, but we also have a great shot about getting back and pursuing the best no-gi attacking position also. Do you see this out? No? Question before we try it out a little bit?
If they are just opting for the, let's answer the phone defense, do you feel like if you have a deep enough scoop that's just ineffective?
Yeah, sometimes you can choke them right through it. Usually, my advice is try to get out in front of it as best as you can. Okay. I'll borrow Bardia so you can see this. And what I mean by that is, so let's say we started this in mount, right? Because that's, I think, a common place that this happens. If I get his arm going across his body before I come off of the mount, it's hard for him to pull it out. Okay? So we'll go and we'll say I've got this up here, and we'll say I've got his elbow way across, and I'm driving my temple hard into his temple from here. It's really hard. If you get your arm into that position, it's quite hard. I mean, I think I'm going to get my tap before he does that. What happens is people get too excited, and they get an initial catch, but they haven't jammed that arm way across yet, and they're like, I'm going to unmount, I'm going to go choke this guy, but the arm is still kind of up here, and then they try to figure that out later, and that's very hard. It's very hard to do. So once I get it all the way across, and what I think about doing, I'm putting a lot of pressure that kind of rotates his arm this way, because he needs to rotate his elbow back down the other way in order to get that answer the phone defense. So I'm sort of feeling the rotation, and I'm trying to flare his triceps to be perpendicular to his body instead of pointed down at his hips. I'm trying to rotate his tricep muscle to face away from his sternum instead of facing down kind of in toward his sternum. Yeah. So So let's try this. Go to triple threat and take the back, or go to like gift drop and take the back. Let's rep this out a few times, and then we'll probably get to some sparring after that. 1, 2, 3.